So hello, today we're going to have a look at how to create a cover song in ABLETON, and it's actually not so difficult, but it has a huge amount of benefits. Firstly, making a cover song and releasing a cover song is a really good way to increase your exposure as an artist. But more importantly, it's actually a good way to learn how to make music. And if you could release it, even better. I'm going to go through my process. Everyone's different, but I think this is going to be a fairly standard process, and it's actually not as complicated as it might look at the moment. Basically, what we do is we start with the actual song and we do some analysis on the song. So first thing we're going to do is just going to listen to the song from the beginning. Not the whole song, but just bits and pieces of it. So it starts with a bit of, pads, and it's quite slow. You can see here from the waveform that there's different sort of sections going on throughout the whole song. Another section here. And by the way, I haven't said what this song's called. It's called End of Time by Zara Larsson. It's a top song. It's a fantastic song. It's doing pretty well at the moment. And you really do want to cover the latest song so you can sort of learn about the latest productions. Let's keep going. You can see here that the waveform is getting a bit thicker as we go along. So we just listen to this bit here. Okay, so in that section, you've got the introduction of a kick. You can hear that there. And in this section, you've got the kick and the snare and the bass build up. And then it goes down in volume here. A bit more build up here. And then the ending. Now, what you want to do firstly, and what I've done is I worked out what the BPM is, and the BPM for this is 129. By the way, I've frozen every single track because it was killing my OBS. And so in order for you to see this, everything has to be frozen. The BPM of the original track is 129. I found this by Googling the track. It was pretty easy to find, and I placed it in such a way that it was organized. And what I mean by that is the beginning of the beat was at the start of the bar here. I know that this break section is at this beginning there, and I've looped that section. I'm looping all of the sections that I want to listen to, and I'm literally listening to and looping those sections so I can hear exactly what's going on in every section. So I'm breaking it down section to section, and I think that's really the way to go. And then I set the whole BPM of the entire track as the same as the actual audio of the track, so there's consistency throughout. When the song is completed or near completion, we can change the BPM, make it faster or slower, do whatever we want, but just at that point we just leave it. I took the track and I ripped out the vocal, so we've got kind of this instrumental version here. And I sent that across to a vocalist, and I gave her the reference track and the instrumental track so she could begin working on the song. She was working on singing the song and supplying me with the vocals for the song. And whilst that was happening, I was working on the production of the song. So it bought me a little bit of time, and we were kind of multitasking. She was doing that, I was doing this. So then I started listening to, as I said before, sections of the song and looping them, pressing Control L and looping. So you can see there's a loop there. And I literally started from the bass line and went up and down. So for example, we'll listen to the Serum track here, and we'll have a look at the MIDI of the track. Put together, I just got the main notes, right? And then there's another bass line here. And I just got that by listening to the song. No, there's nothing like special going on there. And then there's another bass track there, just to give it a bit more punch. And they're basically doing the same thing throughout. We just go to the top here, there's nothing there. So if we just listen to those soloed and then listen to the actual track itself. Okay, so you have that kind of bass line going throughout, and it's actually, when you really critically listen to the song, you can really hear the bass line. Now, you find patterns throughout. You actually find, as you listen to the rest of the song, that this bass line repeats in parts of the song. And that's why it's really important to make sure that the song is really well organized in terms of the starting point and the end point of the loops. These chords of the song are basically being repeated throughout the whole song. It's basically looping, but played in different ways. So if we just listen, say, to do this track here, this is a string track. And then we go to this section here. It's the same chords, but it's got a different rhythm. So we'll just take a listen to that. And you can hear that crackling in the background. That's just RC20. That's just to make it sound old, I guess. Okay, and then I've laid that on top of some strings. So we've got a string section here. This is just a contact instrument. So if you actually listen to the original song, it has that staccato string thing going on. And once again, critically listening to it, you can actually hear that there's a shaker going on, and I put a shaker here as well. So if you listen to what I did, it's not as good because it's actually not finished yet. It's not as good, but it's pretty close. This is my version. Obviously, a amazingly produced song is going to sound better. But once again, this is still not finished. I just wanted to show you my process. And then there's some other sounds I was listening to. So as I said, this is critical listening. What instruments are playing in this section of the song? What else do we have? We've got no bass going on there. Maybe we do need a bass. And then there's a vocal. Until the end of time. And the vocal's just got the standard. It's got the standard compressor. It's got standard elements, but I do use the retro RC20 plugin a hell of a lot because it's got this kind of beautiful combination of saturator, phaser, and all sorts of wonderful stuff in there, and it just makes everything sound so good. So that's that section there. And then once I kind of got most of the melody down, the next challenging piece was the drums, and that's always very challenging to get the sound that we want from the drum tracks. So we have a few drum tracks. We started firstly with this one here, so we just listen to that one in solo. This started off as kick and snare, but I just took off the kick and focused on the snare, and that's because the snare needed completely different drum bus and different effects to the kick. Next one's, I think, the kick. The kick has a lot less effect on it, and that's why it had to be separated out. And as you heard before, there's shakers here. I think there's shakers further down, but I just haven't got to them. So we'll just listen to the shaker as well. So then you have your drum section, and what you got to do is when you listen to the song, so for example, at this point here, there's no kick at all. The kick starts at this point. Oh, sorry, this is not the kick, this is the shaker. The kick starts where the kick starts here, so we'll just wait for that to come. We will start at this point here. So listen to my version now. The original and my version. And then the rest of the drums come in at this point now. Now there's this little section here, this little synth section, which I might change, but it goes like this. And it does sound quite different from the original, and there's a reason for that. So let's just listen to the original again. It's because so I could have made it sound like the original, but there's a point where you don't want to completely copy the original song. And actually, the band that I have is an electro band, and I really like to have a bit more of a wider analog sound. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it sound as much as possible like the original, but then I'm going to start changing and tweaking bits so it sounds more like my song. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Then, we've got a bit of, we've got a return track on the, for the whatever this is called. This is called the vintage verb. This is the reverb, sorry. And then on the master track we have a few things going on as well, but it's not really a completed master track. So yeah, this is basically it. And I just wanted to say that even though it might sound daunting, what it really is a bunch of building blocks, literally. And a lot of them are the same in, this is the same as this one, and this is the same as this. They're just the same, but arranged in different blocks. You do learn quite a bit from listening to a professionally produced song. Once this is all down and it sounds as close to the original as possible, I can actually use this as a template to make other music, because I know that the balance of instruments and the style for this style of music is gonna work. So that's it for me. If you've got anything to add to what I've done, if you've done something like this before, or if you don't agree with what I'm doing, just definitely help me out. Put something in the comment and let's see what happens. Thank you.